Hey!
Hello, it's working. Okay, sorry, my Instagram glitched. So,
Yeah, it's the Nargles. It's how they get you.
yeah. How are
So,
you?
I was just saying it's a beautiful day out here in Colorado.
Colorado,
It's
huh?
really nice. Usually about this time we get a lot of snow, so I'm actually enjoying the sunshine.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's hot in LA as well. It's very warm. Doesn't
How,
feel too wintry or autumny at all, actually.
right. Well, you've got like your sweater on, like your
I
turtleneck.
did, yeah. I wanted to dress cozy.
Yeah. Jeez. How's everything going out there in California with the coronavirus and stuff?
COVID-19 is booming, actually. It is, yes, there are lots and lots of cases, unfortunately. So, there was a travel advisory put in, and then like a light lockdown, I think it's
Oh,
called. So,
okay.
we have a curfew from 10 to 5. Um, so yeah, not great. So, wait amongst everyone, please.
Please. Yes.
Let's get this thing down. Yes, I definitely agree. Well, it's lovely to be on here. This is my first live.
Really?
Yes, I've never done it before. I didn't really know how to do it, so I'm glad everything worked.
Good. Yeah, I mean, these are so fun, and everybody gets to watch along with us, and we get to hang out and do more fun collabs like this, like taking over MuggleNet's Instagram.
Yes, Mothernet is wonderful.
I love MuggleNet. So, for those of you guys who are watching who don't know Ellie, Ellie, tell us a little bit about you and your kind of connection to the Harry Potter universe.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Ellie. I played young Lily Evans in the last Harry Potter film, Deathly Hallows Part 2. So that is how I came into the Potter world. I'm a huge fan of books and the films myself, so getting to be a part of it was like truly a dream come true. Incredible. Um, so yeah, I am a huge animal lover, animal rights activist, and so I was so excited when you reached out to do this because I definitely am really willing to talk more about this and share my thoughts with everybody. So yeah.
I love that. Love that. Yeah, we're going to be touching on that here in a sec, but obviously you played young Lily Evans, and she's a Gryffindor. I want to know, what is your house? Because we just did an Instagram live with another guest, and her entire life she had thought she was a Hufflepuff, but because of the lockdown and because of everything, she really took some time to reflect and found that she was actually a Slytherin. So, have you
Oh,
had kind of
interesting. That's a
experience?
pretty big difference. That is a
Yeah,
big
just a little
difference.
bit.
No, I am a Gryffindor, but I definitely have big tendencies of all others.
Mm,
Um, I'm very much a Hufflepuff and very much a Ravenclaw as well. And the Slytherin definitely comes out.
nice.
I definitely am a combination of everything, but I would say that Gryffindor puts the cake.
Cool. That's
So
cool. Yeah, my first house is Slytherin, and then it's Ravenclaw, Gryffindor, and then way at the
way
bottom.
at the bottom is Hufflepuff. Yeah.
So I definitely see the that jump that our last guest made as well. It's pretty crazy.
I think lockdown has brought out a lot of things about everyone that we didn't necessarily know. I learned a lot of things about myself during lockdown this year. Yeah, just kind of taking time for yourself to reflect and learn. So yeah, definitely learned some things.
What are, can you share one thing that you've learned during lockdown about yourself?
I learned that I really like being by myself and that I'm more of an introvert than I thought I was. Because
Wow.
I'm a very social butterfly. I do love being around people.
Mm-hmm.
But I also really value alone time, and I didn't realize that until I was just alone a lot of the time and worked on myself. And I have, routines that I do every day that keep my mind really healthy because, especially during this time with COVID and the lockdown and everything, it's important to keep yourself healthy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned that I love being by myself and hanging out with myself. I think it's really fun. I'm entertaining. I think I'm entertaining.
Good. Yeah. See, I'm finding the exact opposite. I've always been like an extrovert, and then now that I'm like by myself, every time like my girlfriend walks by, I'm like, hey, how are you? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's one of those things.
yeah. That's
So,
funny.
you mentioned how you were a big fan of the books and all of that stuff. How were you first introduced to Harry Potter? Because it feels like everybody nowadays has like a separate, their own kind of unique story on how they came across the series.
Yeah. So my oldest brother, James, he was reading the books when I was young, and he was reading them and reading them. My mom was like, "What is this book that my brother is just cannot put down?"
Yeah.
So she ended up picking it up, and she absolutely loved it. And then from then, she was collecting the books. So every time they would be released, she would go and get one and like wait in line. And so I was introduced because obviously I want to be like my big brother and my big sister.
Oh,
I started reading the books when I was about 6.
wow.
Yeah, so I was really young. And because they had been in my family, because my other family members really loved them. So
Wow.
yeah,
There you go. That's so
I know.
cool.
So I knew about the whole world before I was even auditioning for the role, which was absolutely crazy. And then when I got the audition, I was like, oh boy, I know what this is.
Oh my gosh.
Yep,
So,
exactly.
what was that moment kind of like where you realized that you actually had a shot of being a part of like this film series? Was that pretty scary? Like, did you feel a lot of pressure? Because Lily Evans, like the scenes that you were in are so pivotal to the
Yeah,
plot.
they are. It was interesting because as an actor and someone who, I take a lot of pride in my craft, but when you're auditioning, it's it's easy to get attached. So
Mhm.
it's more difficult to almost just let it go. It for me it's like bringing to life this character and to life this person. And so as soon as you put that pressure of it being like, oh my gosh, this is a Harry Potter series, it's extremely daunting. And
Right.
so when I was young, when I was acting when I was young, my parents, and I'm very grateful for my parents for doing this, they kept my feet on the ground, It was like, it's just an audition. Once we're done with the audition, we write it off, we go home, I go about my day. I go to parties and karate and dance and I'm a normal kid.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until I started getting more and more recalls and casting things come in that I realized I had more and more of a shot. And
Wow.
then it became really real at the screen test. And I was like, okay, I think this is probably the part where I freak out. And I definitely did at the screen test. And then, we waited a few weeks. We didn't hear anything. And so I was like, oh, and I just kind of forgot about it. And I was a little bummed out, but I was so young and that it was okay because it was another really cool opportunity that just sadly didn't get to happen. It was a hobby. Now it's my career, but then it was a hobby. And
Right.
so then obviously I found out and I cried and screamed and ran around the house and everything in
Yeah.
between. But yeah, so it was definitely at the moment I got it, that's when it became real. And that's when I was like, so I'm the one having to portray this? That can't be right. Like, no way.
Not me.
Uh,
Not me.
no way, not me. Especially because they auditioned so many people for Lily, like all around the country they were auditioning. And
Okay.
so I bet my mum, actually, on the first audition, I bet her, hey, if I get the role of Lily Potter, Lily Evans, I know for all the Harry Potter fans are going to go crazy. If I get the role of Lily Evans, can I have an iPhone? And this is at the time where like the iPhones were brand new and it was really big. And my mom was like, oh yeah, sure, like you can have an iPhone, thinking I wouldn't get it. And at the end, I was like, so can I have an iPhone?
Hello, mom.
Tell me out. Oh, one of my friends just hopped on the live. Hi, Tana. Oh, some of my friends are hopping on. I told them about it. My family are on here too.
Ah,
So they're very excited to see this because obviously the Protego Foundation is something that is really cool, and so I was very excited to be partnering with you on this.
thank you so much. That
Yeah.
means the world. Uh,
Yeah.
it kind of leads us into our conversation here. So
Yeah.
you're a big animal lover. When did a respect for animals kind of start for you?
Um, from a very young age, I grew up with animals since I was born, pretty much. My grandparents had dogs, and then we had guinea pigs and rabbits and dogs and hamsters and all those types of things. And so, yeah, I grew up with just this love of creatures, of like these beings that I think are godsend. I think they're just angels on earth, and they give us so much. And so, yeah, I loved animals from a very very young age. And it's one of my biggest dreams to have my own. I don't know how you say like a little farm, and I just rescue cows and I rescue
Uh,
horses and dogs and cats, and that's what I envision when I'm older and I have a family, and because that's what I want. Rescuing animals is something that has always been very important to me.
wow.
Yeah, so I'm grateful for my family for bringing me up with animals because I think it definitely taught me respect for them. They're not things that you can just get willy nilly and then expect to be okay. They're people. They're beings that that you have to care for and love for. And an, an animal to you is only a very small part of your life, but to them, it's everything. So
Oh,
it's
you
a
make
big
me cry. Stop.
it is a big responsibility, and I wish I don't currently have any animals here. We have a family dog. Her name is Izzy. I tried to steal her from my parents' house, but that could not happen this weekend. So my mom only very rarely lets me steal her because both my brother and I have moved away from home, and so she's all that. She's all
Wow.
that. But we have a family dog. Her name is Izzy. She's a Maltese. She has an upright and this tooth that sticks out the side, and she's extremely sassy. But we have her. I don't currently have any pets because I just don't always have the time to have one, and I don't think it would be fair on them to have an animal here. I don't have a huge place, living in LA, expensive. So yeah, it definitely. I wish I could have a dog. Or a cat. Although during quarantine, I signed up to foster kittens.
Wow.
Yeah, I signed up to foster kittens. They had so many fosters though, which was so wonderful. They had so many fosters that I didn't end up needing to foster any. But yeah, we signed up to foster kittens, and I've never had a cat before. I love them, but we never got to have a cat because my mother is allergic. And so I was so excited to maybe have a little 5-week-old kitten in my house.
Yeah, little baby.
Yeah. Do you have any pets of your own?
Yes, so we have a rescue dog. So we actually adopted her. I just moved from LA to Colorado. So you're talking about the small apartment size. Our first apartment in LA was about the size of this room.
Yeah.
So tiny.
Not tiny, but it's home, so that
Yeah, it was our first apartment, so it's cool.
Yeah, it's okay.
But yes, we adopted her from the Los Angeles, the South shelter. She was, just a scared little girl. And her name is Roxy. We have no idea what kind of breed of dog she is. So whenever somebody asks, we're just like, she's a rescue.
She's a rescue. She's
exactly.
She's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And then we have one cat who is my girlfriend's childhood cat. So they get along, they tolerate each other.
They tolerate each other.
And that's really all you can ask for, right?
Definitely, yeah. Well, Izzy was, her mother was rescued from a shelter, and her mother was pregnant, and so a rescue picked her up, and then she had the little puppies, and Izzy was the runt. And so we had her, and she's a backyard Maltese, so she's not purebred. She's a bit more of a mutt than a purebred Maltese.
They're the best.
Yeah, they are the best. She's absolutely wonderful. She's a ball of fire and sass, I can tell you that.
Well, speaking of, these kittens that you wanted to foster and Izzy, I know this is a really hot debate, but are you a cat person or a dog person?
Oh, see, I can never pick one.
Yeah.
Since I have grown up more around dogs, I might be leaning towards dogs. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that I really love cats and that they can make wonderful companions. Especially, I think that the first pet I do get by myself will probably be a cat because I probably will still be busy, and cats, quite frankly, are more independent creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I needed to go out for a few hours or if I was shooting somewhere, then it wouldn't be as bad as leaving a dog alone all day.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's justifying it in any way, but I don't know. I think cats can be both the most affectionate creatures and also just the most evil in some scenarios.
Yeah.
But I might say leaning towards dog. But I can't decide, truly. I think I'm pretty in the middle.
Good. That's cool. I like that. So, obviously, being part of the Harry Potter series, you're introduced to so many different magical creatures.
I know.
Who are just, so unique and just as unique as the animals in our world. So, do you have a favorite magical creature in the series? Who are they and why?
Yes, I do. And this question is so easy for me to answer, but Buckbeak is ultimately my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Just the coolest. I mean, why not Buckbeak? Are you kidding me? I mean, yeah, I think I have thought about ways to get one really before and have disappointed myself when I've realized that they're not actually real.
Yeah.
And doing the Warner Brothers studio tour in London and seeing Buckbeak, and I was so disappointed that it wasn't real. I was
Yeah,
really
he's an
excited.
animatronic, right? You're like,
Animatronic, yeah.
oh.
But yeah, Buckbeak definitely. I think there's so much sass there. There's so much love. I don't know. I just am taken. I'm just completely taken by Buckbeak, 100%. So yeah, that's my favorite. But also, I think it'd be really cool to have an excuse to own an owl.
Sure.
You know, just to have that and go and deliver your post for you, and not necessarily have to remember or forget to check the mailbox. It seems great.
Yeah.
But yeah, owls are cool. I mean, Fang is definitely pretty unique. I mean, doesn't seem the most efficient, but definitely unique. But yeah, I would definitely say Buckbeak.
Nice. That's a good one. Yeah, I'm always torn between a phoenix or
Oh,
now with like Fantastic Beasts, a niffler. I'm like, like all
oh
here.
yeah. Oh, I forgot. Nifflers.
I know they're a fan favorite now, and I'm just like,
They are. You're right.
you
Oh,
know,
it would be pretty good to have a Niffler.
yeah, they're like little cutie guys. You
They
can
are cute.
scratch.
Just you pop them in your pocket, you know.
Yeah, just all right. We're going out. Here we go.
We're going out. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, definitely, I agree.
Yeah. So we've established your favorite magical creature. Do you have a favorite non-magical animal? So an animal who exists in our world. I know you love Izzy, your dog. Do you have a species of animal who you're just like so in love with?
Yes, horses.
Oh, okay.
I have loved horses. I have been asking Santa, my parents, everyone for a horse since before I can even remember.
Uh,
I am just completely in love with the animal. I think they are gentle giants. Not always the mares. Sometimes mares can be a little bit more sassy. But yeah,
men, like the males.
a mare, M-A-R-E,
Uh-huh.
mares. I think that's how you say
Marriage.
it.
Yeah.
Mares. Yeah, they can be a little sassy sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. I just have always I've loved horses. I think that they are completely wonderful. I think that they can have incredibly different personalities when you wouldn't think they would. But my dream horse is a Frisian, and they basically look like Black Beauty. They are
Oh, wow.
huge, and they are completely. They have a black. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
They're
So
kind
yeah,
of like
those are
thestrals,
my
huh?
personal favorite animals. Sorry.
I said they're kind of like thestrals then, huh? Like all black.
Yeah, they kind of are exactly. It's like
Very
a real
nice.
life thestral.
Yeah, the Protego
Yeah.
Foundation, this is a little insight. We have a campaign coming up in 2021
Mhm.
to help get some relief for the horses in New York who are forced to pull horse-drawn
Yes.
carriages in the streets.
Yes.
And we're using thestrals to kind of tie in to horses because, thestrals pull the carriages at Hogwarts. And so,
They do, yeah. Well,
so,
please, let me know when you're doing that, because if I can advocate for that in any way, I definitely will. I've been to New York. My brother goes to university in New York.
oh, wow.
I've seen it, and it makes me really, really sad. It breaks my heart that they're not treated as well as they should be.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll definitely be in touch for that. So,
Yes.
this is a really fun question, especially for us at the Protego Foundation, because part of what we do is trying to help the Wizarding World fandom become as nice to animals as we can be.
Yeah.
And you recently went vegan.
I did.
What kind of awoke that decision for you?
So I've been vegetarian now it'll be 5 years next February.
Wow.
So it's about just over 4.5 years. I went vegetarian because I watched several documentaries and I really considered my love for animals.
Mhm.
And I realized that I can't consider myself an animal lover and really be both, at least for me.
Sure.
Everyone is different. I'm not judging anyone for their decisions. Very much a lovable person, and I'll accept anyone for who they are. But for myself, I felt like that was the best decision for me. I did it slowly and over a period of time. And then last year, in 2019, was very much toying with the idea of going vegan for the exact same reason. And because I realized that the dairy industry is just as bad as the meat industry, if not worse in some cases. So, why was I doing both or justifying one and not the other? And so it was a decision that last year I knew I wanted to do it. And there were lots of things kind of going on in my life. And so I was kind of back and forth.
Mhm.
And, I took 3 months on and then 3 months off. I'm also a celiac.
Oh, okay.
and gluten free. And so, finding substitutes for certain things, I wanted to make sure I did it in the healthiest way possible,
Mhm.
um, for my sake, and make sure that my body was always getting the nutrients that it needs.
Mhm.
And so, kind of throughout 2019, I was in this transitioning phase where I was finding substitutes and trying things and stuff like that. I gave up milk and butter several years ago, unless it
Mhm.
was in things. So, if there were crackers that had milk in it, I would eat the crackers. But I've been drinking almond milk for the last, 3 years or so.
Nice.
And the same with butter. I have Earth Balance. And so I kind of had already substituted those things, just for health purposes.
Mhm.
And then January of this year, I said in last December, I was like, I'm going to do it in vegan. In January, I'm going completely vegan. And I did it. And to say it was easy is not the case. It was somewhat challenging because I spent a lot of time at home. I was working from home a lot, and so I was cooking a lot. And so I have just learned, I've always loved to cook.
Yeah.
And so I've just learned to be really creative about my cooking and what I eat and what I bake and things like that. And it honestly has opened up a whole world, a whole new world and a whole new door of like cooking and baking and recipes and that type of thing. So I just, for myself and from, my personal decision, I felt like cannot advocate for animals without doing the right thing for, there's no difference in my mind from, a dog to a cow or a cat to a chicken. And so, it wasn't easy, but I'm very glad I did it. And, one day I want my own chickens. And because I love chickens, I think they're
Yeah.
great. And I think they're so cute. And I've had cuddles with chickens, and it's wonderful. So, if I had my own chickens and I was raising them myself, I don't know how I would feel about eating the eggs. It would be a decision there and then, and when I got to that point. But at least I know that that is my pet, and that is an animal with a name and something I love every single day. Um, and so it's a very different relationship, and I think that sometimes when you see something on the shelf in a grocery store, it's easy to just think it's food and maybe not think about where it came from. So that was my decision. That's why I went vegan. I know that was very long-winded.
No, that's
Um,
fantastic. Love that. So
Yeah.
you're in LA, and I often, now that I'm in Colorado, I dream about the amazing food options that are out there for vegans in LA.
Yes, there are.
Do you have a favorite restaurant that it's your go-to, it's your fave?
It depends on what I'm eating. If I'm eating breakfast, then I'll go to the Sun Cafe and have the Belgian waffle or the gluten-free French toast,
Uh,
which are amazing. I also love Lotus Vegan, which is a
yes.
Thai place, which is amazing, and that's really good.
Cool.
And then if I'm getting like takeout, then it's Veggie Grill because Veggie Grill's so good. The burgers are so good. I actually took my brother and we went to Veggie Grill. He bought me dinner. Went yesterday after I finished work, which was wonderful. So yeah, I would say those are the top three right now. But there are some cute little spots where you can go and they have like vegan, because I'm vegan and gluten free. It's harder to find vegan and gluten free.
Yeah.
But there's a donut place here that has vegan and gluten free, which is great. So you find little spots here and there, or you'll go somewhere and they'll have like a vegan option, which is amazing. And most places do in LA.
Yeah, definitely. My girlfriend used to work at Veggie Grill when we lived in LA.
Oh, really?
The amount of food from Veggie Grill I would eat, it was just
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it?
yeah,
The
super
sweet
tasty.
potato fries are the best sweet potato fries I've had.
See, I don't like sweet potatoes. I remember when Veggie Grill only had sweet potato fries, and I was always like, ah. But then when they added like the Yukon Gold, I was like, here we go.
Yeah, you're in. You're in. That's fair.
Absolutely. So you kind of touched on this, that you're quite the vegan chef now. Do you have a favorite like vegan dish that you like to make?
So it's interesting because my dishes, they change each week and change depending on the season.
Mhm.
And so baking wise, I make these vegan, gluten free, and refined sugar free
Wow.
blueberry,
Uh,
and they are absolutely wonderful. My boyfriend loves them, and he's not vegan, and he asks for them almost every weekend. I love them. I think I can make a batch of 12 and crush them in a night. I
wow.
mean, they're amazing. So those baking wise, recently I've been into soups and just made a leek and potato soup. that is vegan because it's the holidays and it's cozy. So I would say right now soup. But I also make like little campfire dinners where we wrap them all in tinfoil and put it in the oven. And I do it with Beyond Meat, or you can do it with tofu and things like that. So
Nice.
yeah, I would say those on the top of my list right now.
Love that. Love that. I haven't gotten into any soup making. Like that's the one thing that when I
Mm.
cook, I've never like I don't think I've ever cooked a soup.
Oh,
So yeah.
it's I think it's one of the things that, it makes you feel at home. So when I make it, I feel like I'm in the winter and it's cozy and things like that. That's why I love at this time of year. My next challenge is an Italian wedding soup, a vegan version of Italian wedding soup. It has meatballs in it and pasta. So to make that vegan and gluten free is going to be a challenge, but I'm
Yeah.
going to attempt that next weekend. So we'll
Wow.
see.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know how that goes on.
I definitely will. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we had a fan question that was submitted that I wanted to throw your way. What is the most memorable moment that you have from your time on Potter?
Oh gosh, that's such a good one. The most memorable moment from my time on Potter. There are like the time actually shooting or before and after.
And whichever one, however you want to interpret
I
it.
think there are two really big ones that stick out to me. The first one is when I first met Daniel,
Oh.
and I met him at the screen test,
Mm-hmm.
which was crazy. And by the way, at this time I didn't know I had the part, and we got called up to second AD's office. Like, oh, I need to show you something. So we're like, oh, okay, we're just on with the screen test. We go up there, and she goes, I just wanted you to meet someone. And Daniel walks out, and he's like, hi. And I like kind of have a minute where I'm like, hi. And he goes, oh, I guess I'll call you mom. And I just straight over my head didn't even realize what he was referencing because he already knew that I had the role and I didn't. And so he said that, and luckily I was oblivious. My mom caught it, and then my mom says, you can call me grandma. And I'm like, really? Right now? You're gonna do mom jokes right now? So yeah, we had a lovely conversation, and then we went home, and that was definitely a moment where I was like, even if I don't get it, what a cool experience to have that.
Yeah.
I was just so grateful to even be considered. So that is definitely a moment. And as I walked away from meeting him, I screamed very loudly, I'm never washing this hand again. And I had only walked 10 feet away. So my mom turned around and he was laughing because he was hilarious.
Ellie!
So it's quite a story. But that's definitely one of the ones that sticks out to me. The other one is when I met Alan Rickman at the premiere, the after party. I know. I think I cried when he passed away. It was so sad, but he was so absolutely wonderful. And as we were leaving at the end, he goes, I'll see you in the movies. And then I left, and it was great. It was so wonderful. So yeah, meeting those two people was definitely wonderful. But I mean, I can't decide because every moment I had on set, walking into the Great Hall for the first time was like, oh my gosh, this is where we are. This is where it all happens. So that was the very first scene I shot. So in terms of actually filming, that one was like the big day where I was like, this is real. This is actually happening. This is crazy that this is my life. So yeah, that one definitely sticks out.
Very cool. Wow. And those are memories that will just stay with you forever, huh?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It's been almost 10 years. It's been over 10 years since I shot it. And they're still very much with me.
Cool. Well, Ellie, we'll let you get on with your day, but we have one final question here. Obviously, at the Protego Foundation, our whole existence is to get Wizarding World fans into helping the magical creatures in our world.
Yeah.
So if there is one thing that your fans and followers could do to help make a difference for animals today, what do you think that is?
This is a very difficult question because you can go down quite a few roads. It depends on what animals you're talking about, whether that's like domestic pets or animals in the meat industry or dairy industry. Touching on both, I think for domestic pets and things, fostering and donating or volunteering is a really, really big part of it. I fostered through the Dexter Foundation before, which is a foundation out here in LA. And donating to high kill shelters locally in your area is really important because if you pledge money to the shelter and to that dog or to that cat, then a foster can come in and swoop them up, and it can leave space for more animals. So when the shelters are too stacked, then that's when animals are euthanized, and that's really sad, and it breaks my heart. And there are certain times of the year where it definitely is more common, and it really makes me sad to see that. So, fostering and just picking an animal up for a few weeks before it goes to its forever home, I think is really, really a wonderful thing that you can do. And I guarantee there are so many foundations around where anyone lives. So looking into those or donating it if you can. Not necessarily money, like dog beds and things like that. If you go to the store and you see a dog bed, pick it up and drop it off at your local foundation. So that's definitely something that I think can really help, especially during COVID, when everyone is at home. It's a wonderful time to do so.
Yeah.
Along, the other like vegan, vegetarian side of things, just be conscious about what you eat. What you're putting inside your body. If you're having meat or dairy, then maybe try and get it sourced locally instead of from big, meat industry farms and things like that. Because one, it's not going to be, it's going to be a little healthier because from where it comes from isn't the greatest place, and two, it definitely it is a better place to get those from. But yeah, I think being conscious about what you eat and about what you put in your body and having a balanced diet and just taking into consideration maybe where it comes from, and if you are going to go along that road, just continuing to honor that, because at the end of the day, it is a life and it is an animal. And then maybe try out like Meatless Mondays or Veganuary or those things, and try filling your diet with other forms of proteins and stuff like that instead of meat. You can have both, and have a balanced diet. So that's what I would say on both of those. But yeah, there are so many things that you can do, and if anyone wants to reach out to me and ask me about that, I'm more than happy to talk about it with them. Anything I can do to advocate for animals, I absolutely will.
Love that. Well, we definitely appreciate your support at the Protego Foundation, and can't wait to work together some more. But thank you so much for the chat.
Yeah, it was wonderful to meet you and wonderful to chat. And thank you everyone for hopping on board and saying hello. This was absolutely lovely. And yes, I would love to welcome the Protego Foundation more. I think what you're doing is incredible, and props to you for that. What a great human you are. I'm so happy about it. So yeah, thank you for having me. Reach out to me if anyone has any other questions.
Awesome. Well, Ellie, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day, all right?
Yeah, thanks. Bye, everyone.
See you, everybody.